Hey everyone! In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a Notion planner for school. This template has a focus on staying organized for school, so we'll be covering how to build our own school planners, assessment calendars, to-do lists, and a few other useful templates. Let's get started. So first, let's start by clicking the Add a Page button to make a new page in Notion, and we'll name this page Academic Planner. You can also add a page icon like this. Let's add a cover photo next. For this planner, I wanted to go for more of a simple, minimalist look. So here you can also customize the look and feel to what you like. Next, I'm going to go into the page settings by clicking the three dots on the top right. You can change the page font and also turn on small text and full width to give your page more space. So we'll start by clicking any blank space in the page and then typing / to bring up the menu. And then let's select the full page database option. This is going to be the database where we store all our courses. So like the page we made before, we can give this database a title, an icon, and a page cover. Next, we're going to rename this table view full course list. This step's optional, but you can turn off the vertical lines for a cleaner look. Let's set up our columns next. We'll rename the first column to course name, and rename the tags column to year. Then let's click on Edit Property, and then click on the Add an option to enter our school years. Then we'll add in another multi-select property and put in our semesters in the options. You can change the color of the tags and rearrange the orders like this. And then let's add another multi-select property for the course type. So then depending on your course, you can add as many tags as you want here. I'm also going to add the basic status property, a new number property called credits, and finally a multi-select property called grade. Let's quickly do an example of making a course. In this example, I'll just leave the grade and credit empty for now as the course hasn't started. So next, we're going to make a new view to do some multi-year course planning. This time we're going to use a board view. I'm also going to change the card size to small. And then we can click Done. Next, we're going to click on the Group option and group by year. We can also hide the empty groups by turning off the toggle like this. And we can also rearrange the order of the columns on the board here. Next, let's go back and click on the subgroup option and choose semester to further group our board into semesters. Then let's go back and click on properties. Here you can choose what subject information you want to show or hide on the board. If we go back to the layout settings, you also have the option to color the board columns. And now you can easily pick up and drop your courses around to plan. You can also create and add new courses straight from this view. And then click into a course to add more detail. Next, we're going to make a view that only shows courses for the current semester. I'm planning on putting this view on my dashboard later, so I'm going to be using a gallery view because it's more aesthetic. I'm going to change the card preview to page cover and the card size to small. And because I want this view to only show courses for the current semester, I'm going to go into filters and add filters for the current year and semester. So right now, as an example, we can see I only have 2 courses in this view, and they're the same 2 courses on my planning view. So next, I'm going to go into Pinterest to find some cute cover photos for my gallery view. So now let's go back to the course and upload the cover photo. So here my picture's a bit cropped out, so I'm going to go into the gallery layout settings and toggle fit image on. Now we're ready to put this onto our student dashboard. So back onto the main page, let's put a divider in for a new section. Let's call this section current semester, and we'll bold and highlight the block to make it stand out a bit. I usually like to use the callout block to group things together. You can change the color of the box like this, and also change the icon as well. This callout box is going to hold a list of our current semester's courses. If you want the heading to be even more aesthetic, we can add an extra step and use a block equation. So if we type our heading in this formula box, it will be centered with this nice font. And then we'll just have to move it into our callout box. Next, let's add the gallery view of current semester subjects into this dashboard. So let's type in /gallery and select the gallery view. Then select the data source to continue. Select the course planner database we made before, and choose the Spring 24 gallery view. And for the layout settings, I like to hide the database title, but you can feel free to keep it on. If you go into the property settings, you can also unhide whichever property you want. Next, we're going to type / in a blank space in our main page. Then let's choose the board view option. Then click on plus new database to make our class schedule. You can keep this database in the main page as it is, but I prefer to turn it into its own page like this for consistency. I'm going to pick a little calendar icon for the page, and here you can also change the icon color like this as well. While we're at it, let's pick a cover photo as well for the aesthetics. After deleting the empty cards that came with the board, click New to make a new card and delete the assigned property. Next, click Add a property and choose Multi-Select. We'll name this one Day, and add in the days of the week as options. By clicking the little arrow next to the option, you can also change the color. Next, let's make a new text property called Location, and another text property called Time. We actually don't need the status property, so we can just delete it. So as an example, this would be a class or session record that goes into my class schedule. And you can add a little icon here as well. Now back onto our board, click the 3 dots on the top right for options. You can change the card size and color the columns so your days stand out more on the board. You can also drag the options here to reorganize the board so the days are in the right order. You can also hide this no day group so it won't show up on the board. Let's go back to the view options and click into properties. So here you can choose to show more information about the class in the board. So now let's head back to the main page to add the class schedule. But before we do that, I'm going to drag this class schedule database to the right of the course planner database. Now our navigation section is neater. Next, let's add a new callout box. If you click the 6 dots, you can bring up more options. I'm going to use the default color, and also use a little grey calendar icon to suit our class schedule. Then let's duplicate the course's title we made before and move it to the new box. Then we can rename the title to be called Class Schedule. The / semicolon is how we type space in these equation blocks. Then let's insert a board view. First select the class schedule as the database source and then select the board view we made before. We can hide the database title Then click the 6 dots handle next to the board and drag it into our class schedule box. Also, there shouldn't be a Saturday and Sunday in the class schedule, so let's delete those 2 tags. Notion is pretty flexible with rearranging layouts, and I'm just going to pop my class schedule next to the courses section. Next, let's make a full-page database called Assessments. Let's give the page an icon and a page cover. Let's change the heading of the name column to assessment name. And we can delete the tags column that came with the new database. Next, let's add a new relations property which links databases together. In this case, we want to link our assessments database to our course planner database. We'll name this property course and click add relation. So basically, now we can assign assignments to courses. Next, let's add a new multi-select property called type. And then we can add in new options for our types of assessments. Then we'll make a new date property called due date. And finally, we'll also make a status column. Let's delete these empty records to get a clean table. And I'll just pop in a few examples. Let's keep this base view as the fullest of all assessments, so both assessments and exams. Next, let's duplicate the space view and name the new view assessments. So we'll click the filter button on the top right of the table and set the filter to show all assessment types except for exams. So basically set it to does not contain, then check exam. So now my exams have dropped off this view. Then let's duplicate the view again and name it by course. This time we'll go into the group setting and select course. We'll click the eye icon next to no course. And now we have another view where all our assessments are grouped by course. Let's duplicate to get a new view one more time. This time we'll name it calendar. Let's click into layout and change the layout to calendar. In the show calendar as setting, you can choose to either have a weekly or monthly calendar. Next, click the 3 dots on the top right, go into the properties options. You can toggle the little eye symbols to choose which properties you want to show in your calendar for assessments. You can also drag to reorder them like this. Now let's go back to our dashboard. Then go down to an empty part of the page and make a new section called Assignments and Tasks. To match the previous section title, I'm going to bold and give the block a grey background. And again, let's add a new callout box, and we can get it by typing /callout. As a shortcut to making a new heading, we'll duplicate the one we've made earlier and move it into a new callout box. Then we can rename it like this for a new section. I'm going to call it Assessment Schedule because I want to put an assessment calendar in here. And then below the title, I'm going to type /calendar and select calendar view. And then I'm going to choose assessments for our data source and calendar as the view. I also like to hide the database title so it looks neater. So now on our main page, you'll have our upcoming assessments at a glance. Next, we're going to make a full-page database called Tasks. Let's rename the name column to Tasks. Rename the Tags column to Priority. Click Edit Property and add in our priority levels. You can also change the colors if you like. Next, let's add a status property to show the status of our tasks. I'm also going to add a person property and name it assignee. If your classmates or group members use Notion, you can tag them here. And then we're going to make a new date property called due. And then you can drag the columns left and right to rearrange the table. I'm going to delete these empty rows that came with the table, and then rename this table view to full list. Then I'm going to duplicate this view and name the second view due today. And then set a filter to only show tasks that are due today. Next, I'm going to add another filter to show tasks that are not started or is in progress. So now this view will only show me tasks that are due today but haven't been completed. Now let's make another view to show uncompleted tasks that's due for the month. We'll change the due date filter to say this month, and leave the other filter as is. And finally, we'll make a duplicate view one last time, and we'll name it overdue, so the filters for this view is a bit different. We're going to change the due date filter to show tasks that are due before today, and we can leave the status filter as it is. You can also change the views to what works the best for you. If you click on edit view and then click on layout, you can change the view layout like this. And if you go into the properties option, you can unhide the properties in the view. Let's put in an example of a task due today. We'll also change the view for tasks due this month into a list view. Let's add an example with the due date sometime this month. And we'll do the same thing for overdues. Again, let's put in an example. Now let's go back to our dashboard so we can add those new task trackers. So back in the dashboard, let's scroll down to the assignments and tasks section and type /list to add a list view. Then select tasks as the data source and select due today as the existing view. And then we're going to repeat the same steps to add the view for tasks due this month. And then one last time for the view of overdue tasks. I also like to hide the database titles for a cleaner look like this. And then let's add a callout box underneath the tasks. Then copy the assessment schedule title block and move it into the new callout box. Then click on the title and change the text to task reminders. Next, let's drag the task list into the reminder box so they're grouped together. You can try different layouts to see what works the best for you. For me, I'll be putting my tasks on my calendar side by side like this. Let's go into our assessments database and click on the little drop down next to the blue new button and click new template. Let's expand this page so it's easier to edit. We'll name this new template new essay and click on the 3 dots in the top right for some page setup. In the type options, we'll choose essay. Now we can start building out our essay planner. The first section will be for our essay topic, and like before, we'll use callout boxes as sections. The second section will be our plan for our essay introduction. And then we'll have a section for the first body paragraph, a section to plan the second body paragraph, and a section for the third body paragraph. And then one for planning the conclusion, a section for any notes, and the checklist section. You can add as many sections to the template as you like, and you can also adjust the format of the template to what works for you. With the checklist, we can also add some empty checkboxes as placeholders as well. Now let's click back on the top left to save the template automatically. So now when we want to start a new essay, we can click the drop down next to New, select New Essay, and the template will be generated for us. Now let's do another assessment template for projects. Like before, we'll click on New Template and we'll name this template New Project. We'll choose Project for the assessment type and toggle on small text and full width for the page settings. Then we'll add in a section for the description for the project. Let's also change the color of the box back to clear. Since usually a project needs to be broken down into smaller tasks, I'm also going to add a task section. So because typically there's more tasks for projects, I'm going to track my tasks with a mini database table. So here I'm creating a new database called Project Tasks. Then I'm going to hide the database title and drag and move the table into my task section of the page. I'm going to rename the name column into task, and we're going to delete the tags column. Then we're going to add a new date property called due date, and add a new person property called assignee for if we want to assign the task to anyone. Next, let's add a checkbox property that we can tick when a task is complete. And we can move this column to the front and adjust its size. And we can also calculate the percentage check to see our task completion progress. And then you can add more sections to this template to whatever works for you. Then let's click back on the top right to save this template. So now as we can see here, if we want to add a new project to our assessment table, the templates here are ready for us to use. So back in the navigation, let's create a new page. We'll name this page Study Session Planner. And in here, we'll build a little Study Session Planner template that we can duplicate and use whenever we want to plan a study session. After giving the page an icon and a cover and changing the page to full width, we're now ready to move on to building the body of the template. We'll start by adding a callout box for the study session date, and then we'll duplicate the callout box. And we'll use this new one to capture our study session location. Next, we'll make another one for the study session duration, and another one to jot down the productivity score. I'm going to highlight and bold the headings with holding down Ctrl B, and we'll also give these callout boxes different icons. And then one last section called Tasks to track the things we need to do in our study session. In an empty space, type /table and click Table View. Then we'll create a new data source by clicking New Database. And then we'll give our database a name and I'll call it Study Session Tasks. And we can hide the database title like this for a neater look. Then we can drag the table up into the Task section. Let's rename the name column to Task. Then we're going to click Open the Tags column to edit. Click on Type and then change the type to Checkbox. Then name this checkbox column Complete. We can also drag this column to the front so it looks more like a task list. Next, let's add a text property called Start Time. Another text property called End Time. And finally, a text property called Total Time to track how much time we've spent on a task. There's a lot of Pomodoro tracker widgets online that works with Notion, and this is an example of one that I like to use. So to embed it into our Notion page, first copy the URL. In an empty space on our Notion page, paste in the link and select Create Embed. It might take a moment to load. Once the widget's loaded in, you can drag the handles on the sides and corners to resize it. We can customize the length of the timers, change the sounds, and also change the background of the widget. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Until next time, happy planning!